Hey everybody, I'm Don Carr, and we're here for another round of What's on Your Pedalboard. Today I'm talking to Brian Lemert.
Hello.
Hey Brian, nice to see you, man.
It's nice to see you too. It's great to be here, and it's an honor to be part of this series.
Thank you, thank you. So Brian is a sales engineer, and you work at the Sweetwater Music Store on Sweetwater's campus.
I do. I love it, face to face, and love seeing everybody come down. Say hi when you're here, please.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. So, okay, let's take a look at your pedalboard here. What do we got?
Well, I guess I could consider myself kind of a old school, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I don't have a bunch of effects. Most of the effects that I use are on all the time. I do a little bit of switching. I try to come up with a tone that I am real proud of that has several stages, but I do it fairly simply. It's well thought out, but it's fairly simple.
Yeah, I like it, man. So starting out, we've got a wah pedal.
Well, we do. We have a classic Crybaby wah pedal.
Oh, yeah.
Mine's a little older than some people's. Mine's from the late 60s. It was given to me as a gift, which was a fabulous gift. I'm very happy that someone gave that to me. They do sound, I suppose it sounds a little more like what would be considered the Crybaby Classic now, with the, I believe they call it the phasal inductor. Mine has an original, like the brown circuit board in it. I guess I'm happy it works, because when you look at it, it sort of seems like it may or may not work. I mean, it's literally a handmade little board.
Right.
I did have someone put a specific switch so that I could power it with a power supply, because the originals don't have that.
Right, just have a battery option
Right,
only.
so I used, apparently the switch is where that power comes in. I don't know the electronics of it, but it does have a different switch. Other than that, it's stock.
Nice.
After that, we go from the wah-wah pedal to this one control white loop. This pedal, when I found the one control, it really opened things up for me, because it's sort of a uncomplicated switching pedal that makes perfect sense and can be used a ton of ways. I use it very simply. The signal comes in from the wah, and then I can do one of three things. Would you like me to show you the buttons while I do it? Okay, one of the things, this button, the blue to off button, makes the signal either go straight through it or to the looping side. Well, I say looping, I mean the loops. There are two different loops in this. It is not a looper. It is two signal loops.
Yeah.
Well, it's effects loops or signal loops. So the green, in my case, the green part of the loop, when this is engaged, the green goes to my full drive, and the red goes to my plimsoll. So what I can effectively do with this pedal is bypass straight through,
Right.
and then the green is the full drive, or the plimsoll, depending on the red, or go right back to clean at any time. So I really have a ton of options with a very simple pedal, and it's visually very easy to look down when you're on stage and know where you're at. If I look down and this is off, I'm clean.
Yeah.
If I look down and this is on, I'm going to one of the two pedals, red plimsoll, green full drive. Very easy.
Man, that's great. I love the switching option there.
That company, One Control, makes some of the most creative switching and pedalboard options that we carry.
Utilitarian stuff, man.
Oh my gosh, and it all works. One of the simple things they did that's also incredibly well thought out is that it takes one power in and gives you two out. So if you're using pedals right above it, they're both powered.
Right.
It's fabulous.
So One Control also makes a combiner version. This is like the either-or version.
That's correct. The white loop is straight through one or the other, and the black loop is straight through one and or the other. So you can combine the two top pedals. I didn't do that because the whole point for me is I never have the full drive and the plimsoll on at the same time, so it avoids the toe tapping that I used to. You know, you try to make sure one pedal's off and the other's on.
One's off and then the other's on.
And I sing, so the ability for me to look down, just it just causes a ton of problems.
Oh,
That's
man.
also why I have the construction warning tape under the specific pedals that I have to have my foot on when I do it, so I know where they're at when I look down in bad lighting.
Right,
So
right. Man, it makes total sense too, because again, it's everything in one switch.
it is. Yep. And it's quiet, and I suppose it's very well thought out. I know that they use good switches, and
Right.
and that's a really great company, One Control.
Yeah, nice isolating there.
Yep.
Okay, so from there we go into the drive. So let's talk about the drives.
Okay, the drive pedals are both made by Fulltone, one of my favorite companies since I was younger. I think they make pedals that to me are ready to be used immediately. They are not effect pedals in the sense of, wow, I turned this on for 5 seconds during a song and then turn it off.
Yeah.
Their drives can be part of your signal path and usable in many situations. I love that company. The Full Drive 2, the MOSFET version, I must apologize that I'm not super deep into what the MOSFET, I just think it sounds really great. So on the Full Drive 2, that is going to be what I consider to be my low drive and my medium drive.
Right.
Both of which are slightly brighter than my higher gain. So the way I have my amp set up, my clean signal's the brightest. The full drive with the boost off is second brightest with a little bit of dirt. The boost increases the gain but decreases the treble. And then we go to the plimsoll, which is the highest gain but probably the darkest.
Right.
So
Which makes total sense with a Strat.
well, very much so. Yeah, this is all. We probably should make sure that everybody knows all of this is tailored for my Strat.
Exactly,
okay?
exactly.
And my Strat's pretty basic stuff. Vintage 6-saddle bridge, noiseless, or not noiseless. I guess that's a patented term. These are DiMarzio
Yeah.
hum canceling single coil pickups, HS4s. Regular Strat 500K pot, 5-way switch, rosewood neck, big headstock. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
Alder body.
Right.
But all of these tones are based around the Strat.
Right.
If you plugged a Les Paul into my system, it might actually be too dark. So it's pretty well thought out, but the plimsoll is a quite a bit higher gain with soft and hard clipping, and I tend to use that. I don't know that woofy would be the right term, but it's got a lot of gain for as clear as it sounds.
Yeah, which is, man, that's great. And again, you've got the gain staging all figured out between all of them.
I do. Yep.
Okay, so next up is the CE5.
The CE5, the Boss Chorus Ensemble. I have used some sort of a Boss Chorus for almost 30 years, I bet. I like this one a lot. It has a little different feature than most chorus pedals. It has, I want to say they call that effect level, rate, depth, and then a filter. So the filter is the key component. The filter has a low and a high crossover frequency. I don't know exactly where that is or how exactly it works, but you can have less chorus on the low notes to keep it clearer in the bottom if you want the shimmer on the top. I actually roll both of them off somewhat so that I can have the effects level higher and then the amount sort of crossed over on the two frequencies, the higher frequency of the guitar. I use a chorus ensemble because most of the time I'm playing in a 3-piece band. I am okay with a big wide sound that uses a lot of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I suppose if I was a guitarist in a larger ensemble, you have to find a little more focal point and maybe a little drier, but I don't have to do that.
Yeah, you're covering a lot of territory.
That's
sonically.
correct, yep.
Yeah.
So usually I'm in a 3-piece power trio, kind of the Robin Trower, Jeff Beck group.
Right.
That's what I like that sound. So I tend to use a little wider spectrum as far as the frequency.
Sure. Cool. And next up is the Wampler Ethereal.
The Wampler Ethereal, pedal that I kind of fell into. I don't really use it for what it's designed for. It's designed to be very large and cavernous.
Right, like an ambient kind of
thing.
thing.
It is, yep.
Yeah.
But I love a giant reverb that can be turned down.
Yeah.
So many reverb pedals I've found when you make them as big as I like them, they're already too loud.
Yeah.
So this one, it seems as if Brian made this pedal so that the reverb was already huge, and then he just gave you a mix, which is perfect for me. I don't have to worry about depth. I don't have to worry about dwell.
Yeah, no algorithm.
Right, no
issues,
algorithm.
you know.
It's just you either turn the verb down,
Yeah.
and it's a little less of a giant reverb,
Right.
or you turn it up, and I use it barely on, but it's such a giant reverb that it sounds like I'm using a ton of reverb. I'm just using a ton of reverb with the level way down.
Yeah, mixed way back. Well, and again, back to the point, you're covering a lot of sonic
I
territory.
am, yeah, and by itself, sometimes my signal or my tone might appear that it's too wet or whatever, but when there's cymbals and bass and everything else going and you're singing, you barely notice that it's, you know, that there's a lot of time-based stuff going on.
Right, it just covers the mix a little
does,
better.
yeah.
And same with delay, you kind of use the delay as an ambient source.
That is correct. The delay in the ethereal is, I set it to maybe 350, 400 milliseconds, probably 4 or 5 repeats, and the mix and tone quite a bit down. The tone works on the delay. I don't like a bright delay. I don't want to hear the exact same pick click as when I play. I guess that sort of emulates the tape type thing where the delays are a little more degraded in signal than the actual original play.
Or an analog, you know, with the bucket brigade with the top
and that
tail
stays
off.
out of the way if you're playing. It doesn't over where you're just sort of layering the whole time.
Exactly, just more of an ambience in general.
Again,
Cool.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, and finally,
the Jam Man Express looper. One of my favorite looping pedals. Very simple. It is stereo. I don't use it stereo. It is as easy of a looper as you can use, and one of my favorite features about it is the simplicity of actually seeing the lights while you're using it. Some of them, or some loopers, have the light where my foot, the actual light is under my foot when I'm using it. I need to see if I'm doing a loop or not, because as soon as you come out of it, you don't want to...
You don't want to be in the wrong spot.
Right. You don't want to be in not only the wrong spot, or just not know while you're doing it if it's working, because it would be somewhat embarrassing in a live situation to play something that lasted 20 seconds and then do this and realize it wasn't on. So I need to see that it's recording while I'm recording.
Again, it gets back down to your whole thing of I'm singing, you're looking at the audience, you're focused on performance. You don't want to be worried about what's going on with your pedalboard.
And I use the Jam Man many times as a pad underneath an intro or to kind of define a key signature if I'm playing some chordal stuff. So I need to know when it's on and know when it's working.
Right. And again, it's at the end of the pedal board.
It is at the end. And the reason I put it at the end of the pedal board, I'm glad you brought that up, is because if you have a looper and you're using amp channel switching for your gains, which I don't, I use the full drive and the plimsoll, and my amp is for the most part clean. If I would change my amp to dirty, the whole loop will be dirty. In my case, I can do a dirty part into the loop or a clean part into the loop and then switch to dirty and not affect the loop. That's why the loop is after my gain stages. So that's really the main reason that I tend to use the clean setup on the amp and the dirts before it. Plus, obviously, the fact that I have an amp that works really well with pedal gain. Which is not always easy to find.
Yeah, it is, and it's scalable too. I like that amp gets pretty loud, but it sounds great quiet as well.
Yes,
it really does.
Which is important nowadays. Everybody seems to be fearing the volume that we used to love.
But you're also playing in different size venues, and you want to be able to control the sound out front.
Last thing you want to be is too loud.
Yeah, too loud. We're guitar players. We're always too loud. Are you kidding?
I like to be too loud, so it's not the last thing I want to be. But I'm trying to be courteous to the crowd.
There you go. Yep. There you go. So in your switching scenario for changing sounds, you've got like 4 specific sounds, right?
I do, and I'll go over that.
Yeah.
When the one control, when the light is off, I am straight through the one control into the chorus, into the ethereal, into the amplifier.
Okay.
So that is going to be what I consider to be my clean tone, which is.
So our first step up in gain is
From the clean,
right.
I would make sure that my large barefoot button is in the off position. My boost is off, not the
Right.
red light.
Right.
And then I will turn the actual one control so it's now going up with the green light through the full drive. Bright, stringy, very stratty, but not a ton of gain.
Right. Punchy and defined. For
Okay,
sure.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah.
After that, I'm still going to stay in the full drive, but I'm going to turn the boost of the full drive on,
Okay.
which is going to darken things up a bit and add a tiny bit of gain for this, I guess, my second gain tone. Definitely more gain than the first one.
Still dynamic though. Man.
Oh, every one of these is going to be very, very dynamic or appear to be clean in their dirtiness, I
Right.
guess is what I would say. After that, my final gain stage is going to be pushing the green and turning it red, which now goes straight to the plimsoll. So I'm plimsoll, chorus, ethereal.
Cool, man. It still chunks really well. It's got a lot of gain.
It does have a lot of gain, and then I will go through the we'll go through the 4 gain stages with the wah and so forth. So
Yeah,
I'll go
let's do
back to
that.
clean, and I'm going to scoot forward just a tiny bit so I can get to my wah-wah pedal, and then we'll. Now the wah with the full drive in the low gain mode, which is going to be. Turn the boost on. And finally, with the plimsoll. So that's the way the wah reacts with all the gain stages.
Yeah, I like how it's such a nice stepwise progression.
Right.
You know, it really is.
The whole point for me was to not make it seem like I'm stepping on this pedal and then stepping on this pedal. I feel like I can work through the different sounds. If you would like me to maybe do an example where I'd use the looper and work through the sounds and listen to the different gains, but see how it all kind of works together.
Right, because yeah, what's really interesting about this is a lot of times you'll create your, your kind of pad, with the clean sound.
Very much so.
And then go through the different gain stages over top of that.
Right.
Man, would you do that? Just
Absolutely.
Just show all 4 gain stages.
Sure.
And, yeah,
so we're going to start with using the Jam Man to create a pad.
Right.
So I will.
Brian, man, thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about as one of my favorite things, which is our own stuff. It's
Right.
It's fun to come in here and talk about all the great gear that we sell at Sweetwater.
Yeah.
But it's also super fun to talk about our stuff.
Yeah.
And how we like to use it.
Yeah, and how you use it. And that's really the whole point, is just
Sure.
the whole workflow of doing it, man. Thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for watching. If you have any questions about these pedals or any pedals in general, make sure to contact your Sweetwater sales engineer like Brian, or you can start at sweetwater.com.